Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Citizen Sleeper 2, where today we are insinuated deep within Darkside. We got some more network work to be done, and the Daichi is hunting us actively, so that's gonna be fun. I will say, to a certain extent, Lane and Daichi are less effective to me as villains because of the degree to which they are anime stereotypes. And this clearly, the game is shorthanding, so it doesn't have to tell you anything about these people, and you'll immediately be like, okay, I understand basically what's going on with them character-wise. But as much as that is useful in its own way, also I do think it actually really sucks, because I don't know, maybe I think I have some particular problems with a lot of anime stereotypes that are, well, whatever, it doesn't matter. The important thing is we got work to do here. So, this network access node is part of the Utsubo docking infrastructure. It's out in the open, which presents some problems. In theory, we should only have to access 2 of the 3 nodes to identify the protocol or agent interfering with the mainframe. So the others, that's an intuit or interface. Not something that we're super good at with these dice, because Junie rolled kind of middling. Over here we have an interface intuit. Okay. This one's tucked beneath the dark side markets, hard to precisely locate. And here we have an endure. There we go. This network access node is on the top floor of a tower, so physical and digital access could be a little bit tricky. Alright, unfortunately, Bliss is terrible at both of those skills. I'm a little nervous about throwing things that are not guaranteed successes at Bliss, considering that they're already halfway stressed out, but we gotta do something, right? Alright, the node seems to be inside an Utsubo safe house. By following an enforcer in, you might be able to access it physically. Just, try to look like you belong. Alright, good stuff. After slipping inside the safe house, access is much easier. This might work. And then we could also throw a 5 from Junie here, which I might do. Junie's got a low stress cap, but also no stress at the moment. This access node is under a bustling market. It'll have to be hacked remotely, despite the risk of Utsubo tracking it. Okay. An ideal basement bay is found, with little interference and a clear signal from the node. Alright, we're still, thanks to a little resupply, we're still at 5 supplies, so I think we can afford to take this a little bit slow. I'm gonna try not to push myself into damage territory until I absolutely boy. Okay, well, this is a wasted day if I don't push. That's pretty fucking grim. Not even like a 4 for me to work the engage off of. That's really rough. 5 2s and 9 dice. Ugh. Alright, let me see if Junie can get lucky and clear the market node for us. Not quite lucky. The node is connected to, but the interference from the market makes it harder to secure the access. That is a real shame. My inclination, since we got resupplied and we're pretty deep in here already, I know that we are concerned about Daichi and everything, but my inclination, because of how things have gone so far, is to just go ahead and take this slow, not do the push, and only use my 6. And I'm going to use my 6 in a place where it's going to get us 2 bars, obviously. So probably this node would make the most sense for that. We'll try... I'm going to put it in the hacking node just for the hell of it. At the apex of a tower, this node needs to be hacked through its lower subnodes without alerting Utsubo. Let's Let's score that. I'm not gonna scale tower with the 3 even, because obviously 1 point of stress could equal a lost die very quickly. And we still have a lot of supplies. I am gonna slow roll it a little bit. Okay, well, people's dice are still exaggeratedly horrible, but I do feel comfortable using Junie to clear this. Even a neutral outcome here is a good outcome. All right, you have remote access to the node now, allowing you to track network traffic through the hard line. And then with my 4 and 6, we can clear this one. Scaling the tower to get closer to the physical network architecture will make access a lot easier, but it's an impressive climb. Well, this is what I'm here for. And then I do think I just go ahead and spend my other thing to clear it. And let's see what comes after this. I don't believe it. Carmen stares through the shutters of the viewing window at a smooth, squat ship tucked into the derelict bay between the hexes. How long has it been here? When the nodes were hacked and the trace established, you imagined it might lead to an Itsubo operator or perhaps an old subnode containing an aggressive Solheim protocol, gone mad with isolation. Not this. Never this. A Senate stat ship, tucked into the belly of Darkseid like a parasite. We need to move on this ship now. Ankita is already adjusting her gear, preparing for an assault. And we can hit an Itsubo safe house for weaponry. There's one... Carmen holds up his hand. No, this is a gift, Ankita. Don't be so brash. He turns back to face the both of you. All we had until now was data, conversations, evidence easily denied or destroyed by Lane. But a Senate stat ship hidden inside the station. Carmen nods grimly. There are hundreds of crews, thousands of residents who would give everything to protect Darkseid from the war. Carmen turns back to the ship, silhouetted against the starlight. All we need to do is point them in the right direction. So, is that actually going to work? It has to. Carmen nods grimly. We leak it all, send it out through the mainframe. The ship's location, the evidence of Lane's betrayal, all of it. Yeah, you're forgetting one thing, Ankita interrupts. Until that ship leaves or is taken, they still have the mainframe locked down. We can't blast out its location through the network without taking it on first. Carmen pauses, considering his options. You look out at the Senate stat ship, half concealed in the bay. It looks sleek, dangerous. What defenses might a ship like that deploy when threatened? Carmen and Ankita exchange looks. Then we attack first. Carmen and I will distract the ship's occupants, turn their focus away from the mainframe, and you, Sleeper, will hit the mainframe and force them out. As soon as Overseer is released, you send out everything. Once it hits the network, our backup will come. He gives Ankita a grim look. And we only have to hold them off for as long as it takes for other crews to realize what's happening. The plan feels desperate, and you know that Carmen and Ankita think so too. Will Darkseid really mobilize against the ship so quickly? 2 old mercs against an unknown Senate stat force feels like an unwinnable battle. We know the stakes, Sleeper. Ankita takes a deep breath. We can handle them. Ankita frowns, an unpleasant thought passing through her mind. I've given up everything to get Itsubo out. Let me finish the job. I'm not going to question it. She seems dead set on this. And also, who am I to be like, no, not good enough? Yeah, okay, let's do it. Go to the mainframe, get set up. When you're ready to connect, let us know. Carmen puts a hand on your shoulder. And once you start, don't stop for anything. Get the data out. He meets your eye. We'll handle ourselves. You turn and glide away, looking over your shoulder at the 2 ex-mercenaries as they discuss their plan of attack. Seeing them slip back into those old roles, you can't help but wonder, does anyone ever outrun their past? Or is it always waiting there in the dark to claim you in the end? It's not waiting in the dark, it's waiting inside you. Although I guess maybe that's where the dark is too. Alright, so, the Hab Pep Core. Interface and Engineer. And they're both danger. And probably we're just looking at arrest here. We'll take this on tomorrow with dice that are hopefully a little bit more impressive. We're due for a good roll, right? That's how probability works. Wow, okay. 6 of my 9 dice came up 2 or less. Well, it's still 3 good dice though. We'll make something work here. All right, you need to prepare to force the Senate hackers out of system. Once Carmen and Ankita strike, you won't have much time. So let's start with a little engineering. We're going to cut away all the secondary lines and systems, leaving just the main line. Should make it easier to lock out the Senate hackers. The layers of subsidiary systems fall away from the mainframe like pieces of a cocoon. Alright, Bliss, can you get there on that as well? It would be super helpful if you could. Okay, positive outcome. We really needed that, actually. And then here comes the hack. Might have just a few moments to push the Senate hackers out. The more you can prepare, the better. Mainframe is ready. Time to call in Ankita and Carmen's strike on the ship. I hope it's okay that we don't have any meaningful dice left, y'all. The heat inside the Habpep core is intense as you stare at the column of the mainframe, its one blinking light still keeping time. Terminals, connections, it all looks good, Sleeper. Junie turns to you, her hair stuck to her forehead with sweat. We can get Overseer out. All we need is for Carmen to force Senestat to stop paying attention to us. You glance at Ankita's thumbnail drive, now slotted in the main terminal, containing a data packet with everything you need to unseat Lane and reveal the Senestat ship. You hope it will be enough. You hold a finger to your earpiece and let Seraphin know to relay the message through to Carmen. All right, Seraphin's voice is heavy with worry. I'll tell him. A long pause. And be safe, Sleeper. Get this done and come back? I will. Good luck, friend. The comms click off as Seraphin switches to Carmen's channel. You wait, imagining the conversation, the terse words activating the plan. You wait long enough for Carmen and Ankita to nod to each other, long enough for them to drop down through the bays in silence, to check the weapons they stole from Utsubo, to take their positions, and then to make their move. You grab the connector, hold it behind your head, close to your access port. You silently count to 3, and then connect. At first, nothing has changed. You drop into a state of stasis, a small, dark space with no cracks. The mainframe is locked down, shut off, squeezed inside the grip of some clenched fist. Then you see it, a trickle of light, a flicker of threads. Overseer flows into the space, and the torrent begins to run. The rushing gray pulse of data, the connective threads, the jewel of the mainframe, they grow inside the space, and the space, in turn, grows. We see you there, Sleeper. Overseer separates and reforms within the expanding landscape. Who is this other? An obstruction. Overseer's 3 heads nod. Then we will clear the path. Overseer explodes. The points and lines of light that described its human forms separate and multiply, constellations bursting outward like a tree of stars. Overseer becomes plural. As they do, the darkness is pushed back, and the extent of the mainframe is revealed. It is a stack of jeweled surfaces, each revealing more facets as the angle changes. From these facets, threads project, cutting out across Darkside, paths that stretch the length of the entire station. Their arrangement is an invitation. You accept their invitation, sending yourself skimming through lines of light, seeing how the station connects and hums with the flow of data. You see the highest tower, the lowest hex, and then the origin of the dark. A squiggle of black wrestles around a single point, the Senestat ship, now a battleground. You see flashes and flickers as Overseer dances around it and cuts at it. But looking around, you see Overseer is everywhere now, multiplied into 1,000 forms. Reunited with a system designed to serve them, they dissolve into it. You suddenly remember what needs to happen, what you need them to do. You send out separate requests, summoning Overseer, reminding them of your agreement. You take the bright polygon of the data packet and present it like an offering to Overseer, who is diffuse and crackling all around you, euphoric in their reconstitution as a functional protocol. You receive no response. There is nothing more than a whisper, snatched away on the flow of data rushing by. And then you hear the static in your earpiece, Seraphine's desperate cry for a response. You see a bright point suddenly close, inside the core with you, a broadcast going out from it like the beam from a lighthouse. You reach back and pull on the connector just to clear the brightness from your eyes, just to block the broadcast. I found you. Lane floats in the mainframe, sweat across his brow, his eyes steely cold. I finally found you. Junie comes out of the dark with force and ferocity, striking at Lane, wrestling him away. You freeze, watching Lane fight back, hearing Seraphine's voice shimmering in your earpiece, passing on Carmen's desperate request for aid. Boy. Okay, so Junie and Bliss together are not much of a combat force, but if we don't get the mainframe thing solved, then this is all going to hell, right? Yeah, this has to be the priority. You grasp for the connector and drive it home. You're in the constellation of Darkseid's network, the exploded body of Overseer stretched across it as if it has been atomized. Unatomized? Okay. Lane is still a beacon, one that flashes close, but you do your best to ignore it and reach out to Overseer once more. Remember me, Protocol, you say. Remember your promise. Something begins to form, begins to flicker. As it does, you hear something outside the network, the bright crack of an electrical discharge, the grunt of pain and impact, then silence again. The brightness grows, it draws closer, and the blinding white blanks out everything. You open your eyes to a smile like knives. Behind Lane's pale head, the body of a friend floats, stunned in the dark. The fingers of Lane's carrier signal reach inside your mind. You are boxed into the viewing window behind your eyes, a passenger in your own body. Lane is in control. Oh, it's so much easier now that I am prepared. It's almost a seamless switch. Lane's face is in your vision, but his mouth does not move. And the duality of it, like a mirror turned to face itself. In perfect unison, you and Lane lift your hands in front of your face and turn them, inspecting them. You feel sickened, a flare of panic going off in your mind. Look at this. Lane opens and closes your fists with a motion like a wave that runs finger to finger. Oh, there are improvements to be made, but this is remarkable. Lane's eyes look into your eyes, a perfect loop. I always knew your body was a gift, Sleeper, from the moment I first saw you. A gift you could not recognize because you only saw a burden, something to be escaped from. But I saw what it was. Lane's eyes flash. An opportunity. Like a puppet, you're turned to face the mainframe. You glide forward a little, hands reaching for the access terminal. Ankita's drive glints there in its slot. You control none of this. Lane's voice. Imagine having more than one body, more than one agent in the world to do your bidding. Your hand reaches down, finger and thumb delicately pinching around the drive. It's a thrilling thought, one I have harbored for a long time. With a short, sharp motion, you pull the drive free. Then I saw you, my Sleeper, and knew I must have you. You hear Seraphine's voice in your ear. Sleeper, Carmen needs that signal to go out now. There's panic in his voice. They can't hold out any longer. I mean, we saw the signal get broadcast, though, didn't we? Wasn't that a thing that was specifically described? No matter how hard you try, your lips do not move. No words can be produced. You feel your hand under Lane's control reach up and pull the earpiece out, letting it float away into the chamber. Enough distractions. Your other hand holds up Ankita's drive, turning it in the light in front of your eyes. Some time ago, I set myself the task of changing you from a hollow thing into a vessel to be filled. Your finger and thumb transfer the drive to your palm. And now I am able, with the help of my allies, to fill you up. I am more than singular now, more than flesh and blood, more than you in my ambition, my desire, and that means you are surplus to me now. Your fist closes hard around the drive, crushing it to dust. Weak and broken thing, your time is over. Lane's other body approaches you and lays its hands on either side of your head. You feel the pressure. You cannot move. You cannot resist. And then a spark as one of Lane's fingers slips and depresses a little into the access port on your head. There's a flicker, the flash of something passing between the spaces between. Or passing through the spaces between. Something writing a signal back to its broadcaster. We have not forgotten, you hear Overseer. They are reconstituted. We are ready to act as one. Overseer holds the bright data packet in a single hand. We were broken, we were many, but now we are whole, and we appreciate what you have done. Overseer shapes the data packet into a point, a bright spear of light. The spear extends through your mind gently, harming nothing of you. Instead, its point finds the mind of the other, of Lane, and pierces it directly. You hear Lane scream as his implants burn in his skull, his head flaring bright white in the cloud. And then, when that mind has gone dark and the pressure on the sides of your head has receded, the packet explodes across the network, white-hot and urgent. In its wake, data points are seeded. Conversations, coordinates, a conspiracy. At the furthest point of the network, its distant edge, the data packet arrives with little more force than a notification, delivered to every device and terminal within its range. But here, at the epicenter, it blasts through you with such power that for a moment, every thought, every idea, every piece that might make up a self is wiped cleanly from your mind. It takes a long time to put a person back together. A long time in the dark, picking up fragments of what once was whole. Like waking from sleep, you can never be sure what piece might have gone missing in the reconstruction, what might have been lost. But you continue anyway, through hazy cycles of faces and distant voices. This is, after all, not the first time you've had to remake yourself, and you imagine it will not be the last. You're up. Seraphine finds you looking out of the lone window in the rig's berths, a slit that stares out across the shattered edge of Darkside. Yeah, how long was I out? Seraphine gives you a half-grin. Best not to think about it. He looks away for a second. Long enough. Suddenly, Seraphine crosses the bunks and embraces you. He squeezes you once and then backs off, hands on both your shoulders. It's good to see you up. As always. Come on, we need to go find Bliss. Seraphine leads you out of the bunks, through the ship, and down the docking tunnel onto Darkside. Do you not think maybe it would have been a good idea to bring Bliss to me, given my state and... Okay, never mind. Seraphine's not a thinker. As you glide through the docks, he recounts what's been happening over these past cycles. You weren't the only one to take a beating. He squeezes through a group of cargo porters carrying crates. Ankita and Carmen held out against the Senatstadt ship long enough, but they aren't without their share of injuries. They're back on their feet now, working together. They've managed to quiet down some of the remnants of Utsubo, stop the factional infighting. They're clearing out one of the Utsubo safe houses over in the Rise. I'm sure they could use the help if you need something to do. Marco's come to the station too. He wanted to help with the cleanup after Utsubo fell. He's working with Ankita. I should go see him, but... Seraphine sighs. You feel like he hasn't quite accepted Marco's reappearance. You aren't sure how you'd react to seeing him again either. Oh, and Carmen isn't sticking around. He's already left for Oliveira. Seraphine pauses for a second, a memory of that place coming back to him. You watch him shake the thought away. Yeah, gee, I wonder which memory. Junie, meanwhile, is still digging into all that data she pulled from the bunker. She's down in the Habpep core most cycles, trying to make sense of it. Anyway, you'll soon catch up on everything. He smiles sympathetically, but there's something behind his look. You can't quite place it. The two of you continue on in silence, drifting into the depths of Darkside. Good friends, side by side. Seraphim leads you down into a passage lined with bright screens and signs, sound and light blasting out of the shop fronts on either side. You know this place. Flicker Row. He stops outside a familiar door, the shop you woke up in all those cycles ago. He gives the door a few quick raps with his knuckles. You wait. Hey, Sleeper? He shoots you a glance. When you're ready, we should talk about the future. You know, what comes next? All that? Yeah, man, whenever you like. Thanks. I'll let you know. Seraphim looks away. Sleeper! Bliss opens the door and immediately jumps to hug you. They let go sheepishly and look between you and Seraphim. First day up, I thought you'd both be celebrating your freedom. I don't want to overdo it, Seraphim shakes his head. Plus, there's more important stuff to talk about. His eyes shoot into the shop beyond. Bliss's voice drops. Are you sure, Seraphim? They just got up. Can't it wait a cycle? Seraphim looks at you. They should know, Bliss. It's important. They nod hesitantly and then back into the shop, letting you come inside. Little has changed since you were last here. The stacks of servers, the refurbished hardware secured in roof and wall netting, the connectors, including the one that facilitated your reboot. Bliss and Seraphim follow behind quietly. The atmosphere is immediately ominous. I've been keeping an eye on you these past cycles. Bliss hooks their legs onto a stool by the counter. Making sure you were stable? Your frame, I'm sure you know, has been through a lot. And when Overseer pushed Lane out, well, things got more complicated. All those changes Lane made to your system, he did it through your stabilizer. He laced it with proteins meant to alter your frame's basic function, to accept other emulations, other minds, to open you up to remote access. What Overseer did corrected some of that, or at least it wiped it from your system, but the stress involved and the damage from your last partial reboot... Bliss falls silent, unable to answer their own questions. We need to finish the reboots, Sleeper, the one Lane interrupted. Seraphim can always be relied on to tell you things straight. Not immediately, Bliss cuts in, but at some point. Soon. I'm not quite ready, but now that you're up, I'll get to work. Okay, is this dangerous? Bliss takes a deep breath. Look, I'll be honest, Sleeper. I know we need to finish the reboot Lane interrupted, I'm sure of that, but the effects... They shake their head. Your frame was complex to begin with. After everything, the reaction could be... bad. We can talk more about it when I have the... Bliss stops suddenly, their eyes shooting to the door. Sorry, am I... Flint floats in the doorway. They look at you wide-eyed. You're up! A smile crosses their face, though it quickly fades. It's good to see you. Really good. How are you doing, Flint? Good. They glance at Bliss, smiling. Mostly thanks to Bliss. They've been taking care of me. Bliss smiles back. Flint has become my patient, too? Bliss claps their hands nervously together. We've been able to acquire some stabilizer from Lane's stores, which has helped, but we don't have much of a supply. Now, Bliss is going to reboot me like you were. Flint cuts in. I won't need stabilizer anymore. They sound almost excited at the prospect. I mean, it comes with some downsides, my friend. You look to Bliss. Flint knows the risks, but they've asked for the procedure. They give Flint a warning look. Still, they shouldn't underestimate the danger. Bliss looks at Flint. Sleeper will also need the reboot, but they don't have a choice in the matter. It is essential. This is like... I mentioned before that there's like some little bits of descriptive stuff that they really over-rely on, and they always love to break up the lines of dialogue for some reason. But this is like a really egregious example of that, where it's just Bliss looks at Flint, and then Bliss looks at Flint again in the next paragraph, just so you can't read through it without breaking out of character. It's such a weird tick. Flint goes quiet. Bliss and Seraphim look nervously at you to see your reaction to all this. You feel like a spotlight is being shown on your face. All you want is some time alone to think. Yeah, I haven't had even a second to sort of piece together what all is going on here. We should do it together, Flint speaks quietly. Whatever we risk it together. They meet your eye. I owe you that, and more. I don't know if you owe... That doesn't make any sense. I don't know how you would owe me that when that's a thing that doesn't improve our... Okay, whatever. Let's pick this up again in future. Bliss tries to calm the tension. I still need many cycles to prepare, especially if I'm to reboot you both simultaneously. It'll be your choice, Sleeper. You decide when. They reach out and lay a hand on yours. But without this, you'll soon begin a decline. I'm sorry for that. Your head spins. Seraphim slaps a button to open the door. Come on, Sleeper. Let's get some air. You follow him outside, but when you get there, all you can think is that you can't breathe. That you don't need to breathe. A wave of claustrophobia passes over you. You are in control of this, Sleeper. Seraphim stares at the bright lights, at the lights and signs of Flicker Row, looping endlessly. You put what you need in order, or I'll be right there with you. I got Bliss to teach me a little about the repairs they've been doing for you. Seraphim rubs his hands together. I know it's getting worse, but I'll do my best to keep you running. You let me know when you want to leave, and I'll fly you out of this place faster than you can believe. He turns to face you, and we can go wherever you need. He frowns. There's time for us yet. I'm just gonna state... I'm processing. I need a moment. I was also thinking... Seraphim looks away. I got a message from Oliveira. They're still getting the place together, but with Carmen heading back, the colony's starting a new chapter. Maybe we should head out there at some point and lend a hand. He pauses, unwilling to push it further. Just a thought. Anyway, just give me the word. Seraphim smiles. We're all glad you're back. He turns and drifts away, leaving you among the cycling colors and cacophonous sounds of Flicker Row. You close your eyes and let them wash over you like a wave. There, in the dark of your mind, you search for Overseer. But the protocol does not appear. You wonder if, in that final moment, Overseer might have destroyed themselves to end Lane. But then you feel it flickering nearby, a signal in the dark. You open your eyes and see something pass through the screens of Flicker Row, a shadow in all the brightness. Could Overseer still be here, in the ancient networks of the Habpap? You turn away and glide out of the row. You have other things to worry about now. Yeah, I guess that seems to be the case. How are you doing? Cadet finds you Cadet finds you in a dark side thoroughfare, a glass-roofed canyon of struts and screens. Still recovering. Definitely still recovering. Hey, I get it. Cadet smiles. But look where we are. She gestures around at the broad street with its layers of tech and dirt. Heart of the belt. You look, really look, at the glass-roofed street. Its walls are built from scaffolding and shipping containers, hull plates and Solheim hab units. People glide across the open space to units and shops on either side, and everywhere screens flicker and glare, without sense and reason. You can feel the heat, the power that flows through this place, collected by the vast solar cells that form the city's foundations. Heart is the right word. This place is a center of circulation, toned muscle tough and running to a beat. You turn to Cadet and can see it in her eyes. She loves being here. So I've been thinking, she glances away, of how good it would feel to run my airbike down this street. The city has to need couriers, right? Yeah, that's a good idea. I know. She flexes her shoulders back. But there's some unfinished business weighing me down. She meets your eye. Hexport. You think of the drive tucked away in the scatter yards, the one that contains the data stream from a drone mind vivisection, the one that might have caused the loss of an entire station. We need to go finish what we started. Cadet looks deadly serious. Find out who is responsible and make it known, clear my name. Well, is Hexport still irradiated? I would think so, she sighs. But it'll be fading. We can get in and get out safely, from what I know. And we better try soon, because the safer it gets, the more scavengers will come to pick the bones. We want there to be something left to tell the story. I know a lot just went down. Cadet puts a hand on her hip. But these clowns could still be operating. Hell, they could be trying the same thing again on this station. We need to find out what they did. She takes a deep breath. So I'll be waiting. And maybe once it's all done, she turns away. I'll let you take the first air bike ride through this place. She raises a hand and then is gone. Okay, I mean, that does seem important. I really thought that was going to be the end of the story, but apparently we have a whole lot of mess to do here. Well, I guess we'll do that, but let's try to spend today's dice first, right? So we have the Dark Side Exchange here, where we can buy fuel and supplies. Probably... Wait, hold on. Somebody's got to feed the cat. Okay, now that that's done, let's go buy supplies. Fortunately, we are still, like, pretty rich. It really just hasn't taken very much money to make it through this game. Here we have an Itsubo safe house. Itsubo collapsed while you were recovering, but its members and enforcers are still on Darkside. So we can search this place, or we can really search this place. Into it is a little bit rough. Over here in Flicker Row, Bliss is preparing the software to finish your reboot, a necessary procedure if you want to halt your frame's rapid decay. And will be doing so for 6 entire cycles. That's wild. Alright, here's where we buy food. Scrappers know their business. They often have sorting and processing, so we could get some scrap components here. We can process our raw scrap, which is, you know, probably worth doing. Look at all that cryo. Not that we need it, obviously. Okay. Don't know that we'll ever be able to do anything with that processed scrap, but it was worth the money to do the turn-ins at least. And then over here at this HabPep facility, Junie's gone straight to the HabPep core and has asked not to be disturbed. What is she doing down there? Yeah, that's an interesting question. But I guess there's not really a ton of use for my dice. It's pretty much just here. Well, the safe house. Yeah, let's try to clear out the safe house. Ankita and those working with her have gathered and packed a lot of the Itsubo materials, but they need moving out. I am theoretically well suited to handle that task. There are tunnels below the safe house that stretch across Darkside. Itsubo grow into this place like a parasite. Alright. We won't be able to get finished with it today, but we can get a pretty solid chunk of it done, especially if we get a little bit of luck here. Oh, and minus energy is not a bad penalty at all. Okay, yeah, so we can get that next cycle quite easily. And with that, I think let's go ahead and zoom off to the Hexport remains. So yeah, I was going to say, Cadet obviously is coming with us, and then, like... I mean, Nia probably, right? Otherwise, we have absolutely no Intuit coverage, which feels a little risky. As the rig drew closer to Hexport, the crew became silent. Now, staring out at what is left of what was once a thriving station, you feel empty. The full extent of the damage is impossible to ignore. Grim. Seraphin shakes his head. Doesn't feel like we were here that long ago. And now this is what's left. You look at the clouds of scattered debris, the layers of the station torn open to the void. It is a reminder of how close the war and unseen atrocities of the inner systems are to shifting into the belt. Well, I don't like digging around in a place like this. Seraphin turns to you. Let's be quick about it. Well, we need to know what happened. Seraphin nods. Okay, looking at this place, I'm not sure that's going to be possible. You look out at the gutted station. It's hard to know where you might start among all that debris. You head to the airlock to suit up and get ready. Are you ready for this? Cadet catches up with you in the passageway. The place has already given me the creeps. Yeah, I think I'm ready. Alright, I don't like being back here. Nia is suiting up. But Femi and I could have... She stops herself. You know, we need to find out who's responsible for this. Cadet takes a suit from the locker. Seraphin said the radiation's lower than expected, but still too high for prolonged exposure. The suit should keep most of it off of us, but we can't take too long out there. The stress on the suits and the rig, she sighs. But we'll be forced to leave in 3 cycles? Not a moment more. You get ready too, your mind filled with memories of Hexport. You hope they'll help you navigate this shattered ruin. But looking at what's left, you doubt it. Okay, so we have pretty limited time here. Cadet rolled really, really well. Hopefully that's going to be... Alright, let's see here. Intuit interface. So, glad I brought Nia. And of course, Cadet's horrible at all of the checks. Understanding what happened on Hexport means searching through the ruined station and piecing together the story. Good news is, we can hit this hunt for data pretty easily. Parts of the shattered station's network are active, driven by the fractured solar cells. Perhaps they hold some clues. You find most network nodes have a final bit of traffic, a strange broadcast. What is this? Alright, and then we can throw... I feel pretty comfortable throwing the 5 in there. Because it's only a risky, I think I'm going to play both of the 3s as well. Well, you know what, let's start with the Search Ruins 5 here. Most of Hexport has been ripped apart. Exploring it will be dangerous work, but how else to discover what happened? It seems like the station was ripped apart by multiple explosions. How is that possible? Okay, so this is kind of what I was hoping, was that there would be a triple plus over here. So that makes this a little safer. Okay. Something hissing on the open comm channel. What is that? You hear that, Sleeper? Cadet stops among the debris just outside the ruined exchange. The search so far has been thankless. A grim slog through endless debris. You're glad of the break. You stop, floating in the dark, and listen. There's a hissing on the open comm channel, a hissing you've grown used to. Now that you listen to it again, though, you notice something else in the noise. There's something different to it now. A texture, a modulation of tone. Is that... a voice? Cadet cups in. Someone speaking. Her eyes look wide through the faceplate of her suit. You listen carefully, and yes, perhaps there is a voice there, though it is quiet and distant. It could be a person speaking, or it could be some residual signal from an automated system, one that's slowly dying in this wasteland. You see Cadet moving forward, testing the signal strength from different positions. Oh, it's coming from the direction of the docks. Her voice hisses through the comms, layering over the broadcast. You think it's a survivor? Cadet meets your eyes, both of you hoping this might be true. It feels pretty unlikely to me. It's probably just a comms echo. Seraphin's voice comes in over the comms. We can't go chasing ghosts, not with so little time left. Well, the rig can't sit out here, the rig can't sit out here getting cooked by radiation, and neither can you. Seraphin's voice distorts and shifts. You should move to the epicenter where Factory Row used to be. That's where this all went down. Cadet looks at you, and you know she wants to chase the signal to the docks. She wants there to be someone there, calling out to you. You look over the remains of Factory Row, the epicenter, as Seraphin called it. It is now a cloud of debris and fragments of bays, a shadow of what it once was. For the first time in a long while, you think of Karsten. You look back at the remnants of the docks, a few warning lights and systems still flickering away in the ruins. with not much time left here, you have a choice about where to focus your efforts. I mean, we're not doing too bad on the clock yet. So, searching the epicenter is Intuit Engage. Searching out the ruined docks is Interface Endure. Okay. Very different sets of skill checks here. I'll tell you what, it looks like we still have a bit to go here, and I am flagging a little bit, so I'm going to call the episode here. That's going to be it for us for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I really thought dealing with Lane was going to be the end of the game. I'm surprised that not only is there stuff left, but there's like 6 cycles before we can even attempt to do the next plot point. So I guess come back next time for another entire chapter of the game that I wasn't expecting. And we'll see you then.